Welcome to Describing the Skybox, the podcast that's like a book club for people who don't think that books reward them enough for being good at them. I'm Chad Rutherford.
And I'm Andy Kinnick.
And today, we're going to be talking about Roadwarden, a game that was developed by Moral Anxiety Studio, published by Assemble Entertainment, and released in 2022 on Windows, macOS, Linux, and Switch.
But first, you can give us a like or a rating. It would be greatly appreciated. Chad, can you describe Roadwarden?
I can. And the first and most important thing to describe about Roadwarden is that it is our final episode in Fanbruary, the part of the year during which we take suggestions from our audience. And I always think about this, but I'm like, may or may not consider themselves fans of ours. Mm-hmm. But they are listeners, but it doesn't work for the pun. So you're fans now, baby. Roadwarden, though, is a text-based RPG that, if you try and describe it as a singular genre, it will mislead you in one way or another. Because it's not really a CRPG, because there's almost zero number crunching in it at all. And it's not like, I mean, it's more like a single-player tabletop RPG, I think is like the best way to describe the game loop.
Yeah. And I think it borrows a lot from like adventure game design as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of player choice is... there's just a lot of player choice in all things, essentially. You're given many options in dialogue and in combat, quote unquote, what constitutes combat in this game, which tend to be these like single encounters. I'm not going to start. I don't even think that this leads into something, but by virtue of us just being friends with JJ, former podcast host and current grand enemy of the podcast who exercises his horrible power every year on the awards show, we know probably more than most people about like the current state of indie TTRPGs.
Right.
Is a thing that he's very much into. And we share interests. And it is like, with that framework, it makes a lot of sense to me that Roadwarden, the game, exists in the world right now. Like, this feels like a sort of a stem from that design, where it's like, what if we take this like narrative, world building, like collective storytelling idea and try and put it into a video game package. And that is really what Roadwarden feels like to me.
Yeah. It's definitely like a product of the boom of popularity that 5e had.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it does feel a lot like a text crawl, especially style of tabletop game.
Yeah. So I think, to me, that is like, that's the defining thing. And I hate to say this, I wish it wasn't the defining thing. Because I understand like the way in which this game was made effectively, because it was made by somebody whose passion was about the writing part of this. And things like the visuals and the sound design are things that were put into the game in order to bring it to life in a way that is more of like a traditional video game experience. But when I'm presented with these visuals that I thought looked super good, they were very well, like the detail in all of the area maps and everything, and the sound design and the music I thought were especially good, which we can come back to at some point in the future, I was disappointed by how much text and just time there was in between things that I was doing. And it really sort of made the experience drag and feel very slow, without I guess like the type of payoff that I was looking for. I don't want to say no payoff because there is, but it isn't like it didn't follow up long passages of text with like something that was exciting to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I kind of agree, kind of disagree. Yeah, like one of my first notes is just like add this to the list of games that I feel like is bad for our format. Because yeah, progress is really slow going. The entire like introduction sequence where you like just show up at the camp at the beginning takes about an hour, just to do that. Which is a significant percentage of the game. And like, I feel like I was probably like 5 hours in and still felt like I had accomplished nothing. Which I don't think I would care if I was just playing this for fun. Cause it is, I think, clearly what the game's about. It's like, you're slowly like uncovering this wilderness area. But like, yeah, when you're playing it on a time limit, you feel like your wheel spinning and you're like, oh my God, I've played like how long to beat says 11 hours. I'm like halfway and I've done nothing. Like, like it just kind of like stresses you out, or at least it does me a little bit. So yeah, it's not the best kind of game to play with a time limit, even though the game itself has a time limit.
That's true. But it's like notably a very slow moving time limit. Like the only times that the days really started to like go by quickly in my experience was when I had uncovered most of the map and I was traveling between distant points.
Right.
That's like your big time sink as far as the game goes. I think that like for me, the part of it that like dinged it the most, and it feels like shit. Now, every time I talk about this, I feel the perception that my other people's perception of me dropping precipitously every time. That they're like, what a fucking idiot, no brain lizard man. But like the fact that they eschew typical like RPG experience gain and like level systems fits perfectly within the game. Obviously, it's not what the game is about. But for me, that was the thing that was lacking to make me care about everything else that was going on. And I also think it could have helped what eventually sort of made me not want to continue playing the game, which was that I could not regain health for the life of me and just kept dying to everything that was even remotely an obstacle in my path. So it'd be like a thing happens and I was like, I take action, and then I died, and then I would be like, you want to try that again? I was like, I walk away sadly with my head down. And it was like, good job, let's go to the next area.
What class did you play?
This was gonna be I made the assumption that you were going to pick the warrior class.
You're correct.
Okay, I picked the mage.
Okay.
It seems as though picking the third option would be just suicide.
Oh, the scholar.
Yeah. From my experience as the mage, I was like, it seemed like a comfortable middle ground between the two because I didn't want to double up on the warrior idea. And I also didn't want to go with the scholar because it made it sound like a stiff breeze would murder you.
Right.
So I was like, well, I'll have like mage abilities and that's going to help me out in some way or another. The mage sucks ass. Like he's really bad. Or at least in the, and it's like written into the fiction. It's like, you're not like a wizard, right? You're like you have some stones that you can sort of hum into and they will produce warmth or something. Like you're not throwing fireballs. At most you are like creating walls of force. And doing that once takes up more than half of the amount of mana that you have for a day. So it's like, I understood like what the limitations were supposed to be, but they were so ineffective in all places where I tried to use magic that it just felt like I took a huge hit to my like combat abilities for no gain whatsoever. Fighting was basically never an option for me. One of my favorite parts of the game from like a meta perspective is like me, the player, seeing it happen after like 6 hours or whatever of playing the game. It was like, you come across a camp and there's some foxes, and I was forced to choose the option where I'm just like, the foxes own this camp and I will leave and sign the deed over to them. And like on the map, it's marked as like Dusk Fox Camp. And I was like, cool, I guess they're like the new proprietors. Because I just couldn't do anything about them. And that was my experience with the wizard. The wizard was a coward who ran from all conflict, essentially.
That's funny. I think I only died once, but don't let that make you think I was super good and successful though at the game. But because yeah, like, I found it fell into a loop where like I couldn't get my resources back very well. Like there was a whole like point in the middle of the game where I was like low on everything, and I'm like, I'm gonna try and actually like learn the game better and like try and get everything back up and like essentially like stop to grind up, like try to grind money and health and to like wash myself and do all the things and food and all that, which I had like this circuit where like I went around from like there's like the one village, the inn, and then like the other inn up at the top of the map. So it was like a big triangle. And I spent so much time doing that like eventually I got to the point where it was like, oh, you only have 6 days left. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, I forgot there was a time limit. Yeah, so it was one of those things where I was thinking, like, there must be an easier way to manage this stuff, and I'm just too stupid. Or this is balanced, like, way too difficult for my liking.
Yeah, I find it to be my argument, and I think it's fair. I think that for the people that this game is like for, which I suspect is like not really us in the long term, like we have an established set of tastes on the podcast and we differ. Obviously, we're two unique human beings, but I don't think that either of us really overlap with like the target audience of what Roadwarden is trying to do. Though I will absolutely concede that you are far more on the side of it than I would be.
Yeah, if I was playing this just for fun, I think I would have enjoyed it like quite a bit more.
Yeah. But I think that like for the people who the game is for, it's probably balanced in a way that makes more sense to them. But for me coming in blind, I feel like the game is difficult in ways that it takes a while for you to understand, because you don't have hard numbers. You aren't just like, oh, that was a thing I shouldn't have done. It's like, oh, I shouldn't have done that thing I did 3 days ago because now I don't have the resources I need to do this other task or whatever. And I kept like running into things. That was the thing that really killed me about it, was there was this time limit factor that I wasn't paying attention to either. And I think I had like 20 days left or something when I stopped playing. So there was definitely like there was a period of time left for me to keep going. And I would get these things that would be like, hey, do you want a job? And I was like, desperately. I am starving to death. Yeah, and they're like, if you come back in a week. And I was like, I'll be dead in a week. 100% I will be dead in a week. I don't have any food or money. I am hideous. And because I can't eat, when I sleep, I don't get my health back. Which felt very harsh to me, but I also think that it's maybe a misunderstanding of how the game is supposed
it's hard to climb out of the hole once you're in it. You might even spend the majority of your days trying to get back out of it.
Yeah, you might even do that. It's almost like a damning critique of capitalism in that way.
Yeah.
Where if you start poor, you won't ever become
you'll
rich.
never pay off your debt.
Yeah.
But yeah, to circle back to something you said at the beginning that I didn't comment on, is the visuals and the amount of text to pay off and stuff. I think that's an interesting thing to chew on because this game, I feel like it's very niche and specific because it's trying to be like a text adventure or to be like a tabletop game where most of it's in your imagination. But it has these visual aids and, music and sound effects, like you said, to kind of help you imagine everything. But then you start the game and you get to that camp and you're just staring at that picture of the camp for an hour and a half with nothing else. And I'm down for this type of game. I've got a pretty active imagination. I give me some atmospheric sound effects. I'm usually pretty good. But I was man, is it really just going to be this one picture? It felt like putting a really bad foot forward that you're on that screen for so long with no other visual. Once the game gets going, it's a much better, in my opinion. But yeah, it's I feel like a hard needle to thread because what the game is so it's straddling mediums basically. So it's if they added more visuals, why not just make it a more traditional RPG with a game world that you travel through? That's actually represented graphically.
Yeah, there's almost an argument to be made. I don't think it's a good argument, but I think that someone could reasonably look at this game and think this has done too much to I now expect more from it on the visual side of things. So for me, I think the biggest aid, and it would have cost more money, and I don't know how viable it would have been during development, but there are so many words that are just describing what some guy looks like. They're his beard was ruffled in a certain way from days of not bathing, and he had a stout fucking stature with a pot belly, and he had a belt that he played with, and it made a click clack noise as he spoke. Right? Yeah. And I'm
the benefit of all those descriptors. I remember that belt.
They should cut that description and take it out of the game and put it into a letter and mail it to an artist to draw that guy. And then I could just look at him and know all those things without having to spend the time reading all of it. But that is counter entirely to the way that the game was made. That's a thing I wanted because I have 8 to 10 brain cells. And the game is expecting you to want to read these things and to enjoy the fact that there is so much detail in all of these things.
Yeah,
and there were areas where I did, where I did enjoy it, but I don't know. I lost patience with it, which is a moral failing on my part. More so than anything. I will say I wish there was a little bit more variance to the music. But that is kind of the only complaint that I have with it. I thought it was incredibly good tone-setting music. It reminded me a little bit of RimWorld in its style, where it was very relaxing. It was something that was good to settle you in for the slow burn kind of game that this is. So where the visuals I felt kind of edged me into thinking oh, maybe this will be a more traditional RPG than it is. I think the music did a really good job of sort of calming those expectations and keeping you in the right headspace for what you were playing.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. If I had to get nitpicky, I'd say maybe the song loops a little too quickly, but it's the kind of ambient-ish kind of song that you don't really notice. So But yeah, I found myself, like I feel like there could have been a little bit more variety in the music. And yeah, just like the visuals, I think like if they both had like maybe like 15 to 20% more variety to them, I think they'd be in a better spot.
That's probably true. I think that's true in a lot of, especially like when you're looking at indie games, there are a lot of things that you're like, where are costs cut? And it makes a lot of sense that it came here for this game. So yeah, I'm really happy with what they did produce in these areas. But yeah, I agree. There's like, for the optimal experience, you would want a little bit more. Especially you were talking about that intro at the camp. Right. Mm-hmm. That literally, this is just like a happenstance of when I was trying to start playing the game, and it just kind of fell through for me. But like, it literally took me 2 days to get out of the game. Because I started the game and got like 20, 30 minutes into it, and then I had to stop, and then I couldn't come back to it until the next day. So that like really drives home how long that takes to get through it.
Yeah, for me it was like a Castlevania 64 style thing where like that was just like my first play session was just the camp, and then like I was like, okay, that's enough for tonight. That took like an hour and a half.
And there's like so much important stuff that it goes through because it gives you like all of your player choice options of like what is your class and what is your like side goal that you're doing and
what's your side hustle?
What's your side hustle? And then and your name and shit. So you have all of this information to process, and they do it in a really natural way, which I do like. Where it kind of comes up and then you go through it. That's actually one of the things that I was most surprised that this game did, that I really liked from a narrative perspective. When you're doing that tutorial part, it's like, oh, what's up? You're the new Roadwarden. And then it's like, how do you want to introduce yourself? And then it prompts you to enter your name. I'm like, cool, that's what RPGs do. But then it, goes on for like another 10 minutes or so of conversation before you get to what your character class is. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it's going to have this player choice stuff in. But then, and this is just like the most recent thing I'm remembering it doing it in, though it happens all the time in the game. Way later in the game, you talk to the mayor of that place, Howler's Dell.
Yeah,
I remember
that's the
one. And she asks you about Havlevin, which is like the city that you come from, and you have all of these options that aren't like, it's not like you are telling the truth or lying. It's like you are actually saying what the city is like and making changes to the world in that way.
It's like, choose your own adventure TTRPG style.
Yeah. So I really liked that, and I thought that was cool. It meant that like the world that I was playing in could be meaningfully different than another player's, which I did appreciate.
Yeah. So it's the kind of thing like if you're like into this game, you could probably do 3 playthroughs, like one with each class that could be like really different from each other. And I feel like the world, like for what it is, like like this text-based adventure, I guess it might even be the strength of like this kind of style, is like the world does feel really like fleshed out for what it is. I feel like it's such a cool concept, and like it kept like, and I think it's probably like a testament to like the quality of the world building and stuff. But like I kept imagining it as like a more elaborate or like detailed RPG. Like I feel like this setting and like the kind of like the character archetype of like the Roadwarden is basically like a Witcher but without superpowers. And like you're just like, you set out into this like really thick, dense wilderness countryside, and like you have to like try to navigate it and like map it out, and like I just feel like the setup would just work really well for a more traditional RPG as well. So the fact that I'm imagining it is like a grander, more detailed world, I think is a testament to the writing.
Yeah. Yeah, you even came away with it, even like with complaints, you can still come away with it thinking about how the world is set up and like what everything means. There's my favorite way to approach like fiefdom style politics that often is like the mainstay of like big fantasy genre works is they hint at it but don't go no, I don't care about the line of succession to the king of fart kingdom. Like, it's not important to me. And so I did like that there was just sort of like this past war that you got to sort of put details into yourself as you went through. Like, it made the whole thing more evocative to me. And I like that it's sort of like it is a fantasy setting, but it is also like a post-apocalyptic setting, or at least like a post-cataclysmic setting where something very bad happened and put things into. So you're not even like 100% sure like what to expect, which goes into, and I don't know if these are established things, but like there were like animals and monsters that were introduced in the game that I just like never heard of before, which I thought was also cool. Like, I was like, okay. And there's no immediate like description given. You have to seek that information out yourself. So I do like those elements of it. I think it does leave an air of mystery to everything that's going on. And the fact that you can put details into that yourself by your player's choices, I think enhances it rather than undermines it, because it happens so infrequently.
Yeah. And like, in addition to the monsters, like there's like, I kept coming across stuff I didn't expect to like find. There's like a warlock in the swamp, and like there's necromancers, and there's like a woman who has like stone golems that she uses to do stuff. And it's just like stuff that like the setting had more like magic in it than it seemed like it was going to at the start, which I thought was cool. Like, the deeper you get into it, like the more weird shit you find, which makes it feel even more mysterious, which is cool.
Yeah. And it's also one of those games that like has, I don't know how to describe this. Like, because everything is so, all of the different like I guess villages,
yeah.
towns, whatever, settlements are so like split up and like far apart. There's this element of like distrust between them, where like some people are the one-armed lady, Foggy, who runs that inn, is like allied with the people from Creeks because they do hunting in their area, and she kind of like has a beneficial relationship because they give her business. But then, like, you go to the other side of the map, and they're like, the people from Creeks are basically all backwood hicks, and we don't deal with them, and we hate them. And so you get this kind of, like, intermixing of things where there aren't, like, clear good and bad guys. It's just, like, a lot of disparate people who have disparate goals, and they interact with the world in their own way. Which I think is good writing.
Yeah,
is what I'm getting at.
And it feeds into like your character. Like, you have to try. You have to figure out how to navigate all of that, and to like try and broker peace and communication between them all, and like try to be on everybody's good side, or pick sides, or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I tried to be on everybody's good side, but there were definitely a couple people who resisted it strongly.
Oh, yeah. Like, pretty much everyone I talked to, it was like, they won't talk to you about this. They won't tell you about that. Like, they don't trust you about this. Which I think that's one thing that struck me as, like, kind of weird, like, that it has a time limit. Because, like, the way, like, the amount of it that I played, which is about 10 hours, like, I was pretty close to the end. Yeah, like the way I played it, it just felt like you could spend a ton of time with like this game world, like trying to like build up relationships with everybody. And I guess the point of the time limit is like that you can't do everything in one playthrough. But like, man, it really feels like it would take like forever to like for even to just like finish the quest lines for like one person,
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of and it was, to me, it felt very unclear as to like which quest lines were like the important ones for each person in terms of like, well, not for each person, just generally, because there would be like one guy who would be like, go talk to the mayor about the bandits, and it's like, that seems like a big important story thing, and it is, but it's more kind of just trying to direct you to Howler's Dell, like, so you can get there, because that's where like a lot of stuff kind of kicks in and gives you more, I guess, ability to gain resources or whatever from that area. But then other people will be like, can you help us catch a bird in a week? And I was like, but you're the only people here who will talk to me about anything. So like, I felt like that was important for like that area's quest specifically, but then it was just like, I don't know, it felt disparate in a way where I don't know how important the first one really was, because I never got resolution on it, because when I refused to be like a fucking mercenary, they were like, well, go do all this shit and then come back. And I'm like, well, that's going to take me like another 10 days. So I guess we'll see what happens. Yeah, I don't know. Just like there were a lot of things is what I'm agreeing with you on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like so many that like I almost was like, should I just like not really try to accomplish any of these, and like maybe I'll grab a couple along the way. Like I latched on to trying to find Asterion is like what I viewed as like the main quest, like the previous Roadwarden. So like I kind of just let everything else guide me towards like where they said he was, like up north and stuff. So that's kind of how I played it. I don't know if that was a bad way to play it. But like I think I finished like a quest line. Right. And like that was it.
The only thing that I like actually saw to its conclusion was there was a guy huddling in a house surrounded by his own piss and shit. And I brought him to a inn, and then I picked up $5 from him a few days later. Nice. And that was kind of it. And some guy gave me some earwax, or some wax to put in my ears. So ear space wax, not ear wax, one word. Which would have allowed me to go around to some monkeys. And I'm pretty sure that I got a checkbox in a thing because it wanted me to find a way around the monkeys.
Right.
But that was pretty much all I was able to actually get done.
Yeah. Progress is very... it takes a Herculean effort to do even one thing.
Yeah. And the rewards for it are not that substantial, all things considered.
Yeah. It's a thankless job. The life of a Roadwarden. Yeah.
Roadwardening, yeah. I do want to talk about talking, though. Yeah. A very meta conversation. There was a system in this game where when you talk to somebody, sometimes you have the option to choose the tone that you're going for.
Oh, okay. This is what I thought you were going to bring up.
No, we can talk about whatever that is afterward. Yeah. But you can be helpful, you can be joking, neutral, threatening, or vulnerable. And I basically never chose anything except helpful and neutral, because the vibes are off on all of the other ones in every situation.
I always picked friendly or joking. I try to play my guy as like a chill, cool guy.
Yeah. Did it work out for you generally?
Yeah, I felt like like joking usually like made people open up to you more.
I did that for the inn, like the first one, because it seemed like a rowdy bunch of guys and gals. And I don't know, it didn't really do much for me, I don't think, because nobody trusted me at the end of the day.
Sure.
Or at the end of day 14 or whatever.
Right. I went with the rationale of like, maybe if I'm funny, they will start to trust me.
Not a bad one.
But yeah, I don't think I ever picked neutral.
Yeah.
Just friendly.
And it also felt threatening felt like
Yeah.
if you like moused over the vitality or the appearance thing, it was like, you look like you're on the verge of death. I was like, I don't think I'm successfully threatening anybody in the state that I'm in. Especially like even from the class select, I felt like the threatening option was off the table for me, because it was like the fighter was like, you get a gleaming axe that everyone will look at and go, wow, what a great axe. And the mage was like, your axe sucks. It's worn and dull. I hope you enjoy not cutting things with this implement that will be your only weapon for the entire game.
Yeah, or you'll have to pay 50 dragon bones to get a new one or whatever.
Yeah. That was the other thing. So I felt like, this also isn't related to the conversation thing, so keep a pin in that one.
Yeah.
I saw that like you could buy a crossbow and it would cost 15 dragon bones. And I said, wow, 15 dragon bones is a lot more dragon bones than I have or will ever have. But it made me think there must be ways to get like large amounts of dragon bones in order for this to make any sense at all. And as far as I could tell, no. I don't know. Maybe it's intended to be a late game weapon or something.
Well, the fighter just comes with a crossbow, so I just had that.
Oh my god!
And it's very good for combat scenarios. It's basically like a get out of jail free card, but you have like a limited amount of bolts for it. I think because from watching a review, I think if you complete like major quests, they pay out a bunch of dragon bones, but you're not going to.
You're not gonna complete this major quest. Not anytime soon after, anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, it would be a late game thing, I would think.
Okay, that makes some sense. What it led me to think about was that I generally am pretty good at assessing a game for it sucks at it just as part of the medium. It sucks a little bit that you have to make a guess at the beginning of most games as to what difficulty you are going to feel most comfortable playing on. And I don't know why I chose normal on this one, because this is a game that I clearly should have played on easy and also done the custom difficulty options to give me all of the possible benefits to make this easier for me. Because I was discouraged pretty heavily by the difficulty. But I also didn't realize that I was going to be discouraged by the difficulty until I was already like 5 hours into the game, further than I probably would have been willing to go back and reduce it for.
Right.
And so I don't know if that helps, because I know that one of the options is to start with more money. And I wonder if that would have helped, because like I ran out of money pretty much immediately. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
and led to the sort of death loop I was in, where everything killed me because I was never able to rest well.
Yeah. And I mean, we already covered this, that like the type of person this is aimed at is probably going to feel completely differently about this than we do. But I feel like, it almost felt like I was punished for trying to have fun with and interact with the game. Because like I got to like a place where it was like, they were like, oh, like you can have this for this many dragon bones. And I was like, well, I shouldn't spend the money. Like I feel like I don't want to just blow it on the first thing I see. So I was like, no. But then like 2 or 3 more times that happened, I'm like, okay, like I'm not just going to like save this money till the end of the game. I'll buy this thing. Right. And then now I have no money. And you can't fucking earn it to save your life. You can earn like 1 or 2 dragon bones at a time in Howler's Dell. And then you have to spend it on food and also sleeping if you want to keep your stats, so that you'll just lose it every day. And then you'll have to just enter this never ending loop of trying to make money. So
there's like an option within the game to quit your job as a Roadwarden and become a Uber driver for people at Howler's Dell, essentially, where you make 1 day's worth of money every day, which will sustain you indefinitely, but never allow you to progress any of your goals.
Or you can sink the time into doing the loop that I found that will earn you money, but it will take too many days.
Success, not easy to come by.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like, there had to have been, the answer is either, play on easy, or like there had to have been some other way to like make money or get food that I just wasn't aware of.
Yeah.
Or something.
I caught fish. Like because I found a fishing trap at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I put the trap out and then I waited like a day or whatever, and I came back and it had fish in it. I had 3 fish. And I was like, that's amazing. I want to eat this fish. And it was like, there's not an option to eat the fish. It's not an inventory thing. It isn't Zork, so I couldn't just type in eat fish. So I had to like wonder what I did. That's what I thought. I was like, maybe I take it somewhere that might have like a fire, and then I could cook the fish and then I'll eat the fish. And so I took it to an inn, and I was like, nope, there's no option for this. So I was like, do you want to buy the fish? I could turn the fish into money and then use the money to buy food. And then I would increase, and then I'll get back on my feet this way. And I was like, do you want to buy this fish? And they're like, no, not at all. There are 2 places in the world that will buy this fish, and the fish will spoil by the time that you get there.
I just want to offer up as a note to like indie game developers. We all know that it's silly that innkeepers will buy all your shit. We don't need to keep making commentary on that by having the innkeepers say, no, I don't want any of your shit. Like, just let us sell our stuff. That mechanic exists for a reason.
And it makes more sense in a game like this because I feel like it wants to have like a semi-realistic economy.
No, especially fish.
It's too fucking realistic.
Yeah, like people would buy fish like that.
That's also true. Like at the worst,
in
I've
this
saved
world
you
where
time.
with this dangerous world where it's dangerous to walk 50 feet out the front gate, like they would buy the fish.
But no such luck. Well, shit, that was my fish story. I don't know if I have... I don't know what else I have to talk about. What was the thing that you were thinking about that I was going to talk about with the conversation?
So we do a book club with our friends outside of this podcast. And
which is like a book club.
Which is like a book club.
For books reward them enough for being good at them.
Yep, finish your drink. This is a thing that we've talked about there, whereas like there are a bunch of NPCs in this game that speak in like a dialect. And we've talked about how much we hate that. And it's just as true here. People must like it because I feel like it pops up in fiction all the time. But like, man, is it annoying to read dialogue that's written in a dialect.
Yeah, it's tough. I actually... What was it? The word was like ought, which is a real word that has a meaning in English.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy, it was like the dude who hangs out by the gate. You know the gate, like the big gate, and he's the only guy there.
And like you can like gossip with him and stuff.
Yeah. He would use the word ought to mean like act. Like you were ought bad or something. And I probably went through like 15 dialogue options with that guy before I realized that that's what that meant, and that I had just read everything that he said wrong. So there was an element of that. I notoriously dislike it when they use like realistic old English dialogue in fantasy games, because I feel like it just shows like a complete dispassionate view of the audience where you're like, well, they'll just deal with this because it makes my world slightly more believable. But then they're like, and then a fucking dragon shows up and you're like, cool. So it's not real at all. And you just like wanted me to suffer. It always bugs me with that. And I appreciate it to an extent that this game didn't really have that, but then everybody also has especially in like certain areas. This is where I'm torn on it, right? Like I like that they give the dialects to people in certain spaces because it like gives a character to that area of the map and makes the map feel more diverse. But yeah, it's like to read, and like I didn't understand what a guy said for like a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I just straight up don't like it. So, I mean, yeah, it does make the map feel diverse, but I don't think it's worth that, like, at all.
Well, because you can just do it by writing, like, he spoke with a heavy northern dialect.
Yeah.
And then you go, I understand that he speaks differently than other people, but I will read it the way that my character understands it.
I think maybe it's just, like, people overthinking things when they're creating fiction. Like, we talked about this reaching way back on the Eternal Darkness episode. There's like that first cutscene that takes place in like Rome or Greece or whatever, with the two soldiers, and they're like speaking in like Latin or Greek or something for like the first like 2 sentences, and then it changes to English. And it's like, we would have understood that they weren't speaking English. Like, you don't have to do that to like show that they were speaking in the language they're supposed to. Like, it's fiction for an English-speaking audience. Just have them speak English. Like, we have suspension. There's this thing called suspension of disbelief that people have. Like, you don't need to do that.
Yeah, and it is. I don't know. It is.
You know, I feel like like that's just
thing.
me being nitpicky. I don't like the dialect thing.
Yeah, I think that's fair though. Especially because like the characters that like really matter to your understanding of the game don't speak like that for the most part, which makes it clear that there was like an effort made, like they thought of this. Like the mayor, they specifically say like, oh, has speaks like the people in the city, like she has that kind of an accent, so she speaks like you do, and it's like, oh, this is a vastly different like dialect than what everybody else is dealing with, because this person is somebody that you're gonna have to talk to like a whole lot. The innkeeper at the first inn is similar to that. Right. Also speaks with like a very normal voice. So yeah, I don't know. Did you change the names, the name of your horse?
Yeah, I named my horse Zephyr.
Nice.
That's what I always name my horse in video games.
I always just try and change a single letter of the horse name for some reason.
I don't remember the default horse name.
It's Sodal, like Sodal. So
mine
was Soda, which actually which I did kind of grow to appreciate, even though it started as a dumb joke.
I actually left the player character's name the default name. Didn't change it because it's Leto, which I just like was like, oh, that's actually a cool name. I'll just go with that.
Yeah, no, I like Leto as well. It might be randomized though. I don't know if that is what I started with. Mine was Fartley, but I don't remember if I put that in or not.
You know, it's really a flip of a coin. Well, if that's the case, and yeah, like I guess I got lucky on that one. I just thought that was a cool name.
Yeah, possibly. But I did like it did feel like you should kind of like work within the fiction, I think, with the naming in this, because they did a good job, I thought, of having names that were like fairly distinct. This is the thing I specifically have trouble with, but like it took me until about halfway through before I felt like I had become overwhelmed and could no longer remember anyone's name.
Yeah, word salad.
Yeah.
It took you halfway before you started choking on it.
Exactly.
Yeah. I actually just on that same train, like I liked that there were like they had like different words, like unique words for different things. Like your body is your shell. Like you had to like wash your shell, and I can't remember like other examples. Like your name of your horse, your horse is called something that's not a horse.
It's a palfrey.
Palfrey. Yeah, I liked that. Yeah, that there were like unique names for things.
Yeah, like it puts you more in the setting and separates it importantly from like the real world, which in a fantasy setting where you're making choices, I think it's good to have like a layer of abstraction, so that you're not just, because you play like a game like Life is Strange or something, and a lot of the time when you're presented with an option, you go, what would I do, like me, the guy playing the game,
Right.
and by breaking that a little bit, you end up in more of like a, what would Leto do, right? Like, I'm in this fantasy world, there's a different set of like rules and codes that I need to be following.
Mm-hmm. Did you look up the ending? Or the endings?
I didn't. No.
Me neither. I was like, did the usual thing. Like, if I don't finish a game, I was like, oh, I'll watch it on YouTube. And then I was like, oh, wait. This game is all just reading. So I don't want to, like, watch that on YouTube. So I was like, I'll just leave it a mystery. I don't know.
Yeah, I think both of us have a complete story of us failing
dying
to be
in the wilderness.
Yeah, I was. If you go by the first time I died, I was mauled by a wolf in a bog.
That's the most realistic ending.
Mm-hmm. Do we have pal-free thoughts?
My pal-free thoughts are, yeah, this game I think is really interesting. I feel like it's kind of what I was trying to get at the beginning. Like, it's a unique kind of niche like thing where, yeah, it's representing kind of like a tabletop style experience as like a text adventure with RPG elements, with like a lot of theater of the mind type stuff. So yeah, I definitely haven't played anything like it before. But I feel like, yeah, like I said, I think it's bad for our format. Like it progress is slow going. And when you have limited time to play something and you have like a 2-week time limit, it can, yeah, like to put pressure on you. And like this game is kind of about like wandering and kind of going at like your own pace. So those don't really mesh that well. But I do think this game is cool. I like these types of like I like narrative-based games. I like role-playing games. I think this is a cool fantasy setting that I was into. And yeah, I liked spending time in it. But yeah, it's something that I just didn't quite click though. And that might have been on my end or, you know, the podcast's end. But because I think if I would have just played this for fun, I think I would have enjoyed it more. But yeah, I think the game's like a little bit too punishing for my liking. I feel like maybe shortening or some of the quests, or maybe making like a quest or two that you pick up at the inn easy to complete, you know, maybe would help like get you into the game a little bit more, to give you a little bit of a taste of success early on, to carry you through. But yeah, like I don't know. I guess it tonally, I feel like a lot of those kinds of decisions I think were made for tonal reasons. Like it's supposed to be like this harsh, deadly environment, so like things are difficult to do, and progress is slow going intentionally, and etc. and so forth. So I think it succeeds in a lot of its creative goals, but like, it just didn't quite gel with me. So I think it's really, really cool, but you know, at the end of the day, not for me, I guess.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that this is a flawed but very cool game, and I mirror your sentiment that I think that its biggest downfall is that it's kind of just not for everybody. If you are the kind of person who has ever mashed through dialogue that you have not already read, this game just isn't for you, because that's the majority of what it is. If you are the kind of person who plays indie TTRPGs for the like storytelling elements that they contain, this game might be right up your alley, is I think the big divide, because this is kind of a punishing game that has a lot of very good ideas and spends a lot of time with those ideas. It does not just like throw in mechanics that it doesn't need. It's very lean in that sense, but it is very fatty in its word count. For as mechanics light as it is and player choice driven and all of these other things, it is a game that is just going to require you to make note of a lot of things and read a whole lot of text. And so I found this to be challenging to reconcile. And even with like how good I thought the music was and like loving the sound design, and I liked the area maps and everything. They looked very good. Everything that they could have done to sort of ease the burden on a smooth brain like myself was done, but I still never quite got over the hump into like really enjoying myself with it, even though I know that the possibility for that is there. It's just not a thing that I was able to accomplish. Thank you for listening to Describing the Skybox this week.
What will we be describing next time?
Next time, we're going to be talking about Final Fantasy 1, the Game Boy Advance one of them.
Yeah, the Dawn of Souls remake.
That one, which we have both played, and I'll be revisiting it because it's been a bit since I played it, but it hasn't been like that long since I played it, yeah. So I won't be rebeating it.
Yeah, so I had this game in like late grade school, junior high, and played it because I had played Kingdom Hearts, and I was like, I'll try Final Fantasy. And just I was surprised how much I liked it. Like I think I played through it like several times, like within like a really short span of time. So it's like really ingrained in my memory. So I'm excited to revisit it because I don't think I've touched it since like maybe I was like 16 or something.
Yeah. The thing for me, I think the thing that made me want to do it for the podcast after playing it was like, it's really interesting to talk about it because of how early of a game it was. Because the Game Boy Advance version isn't that different design wise from the original NES. So it is like playing something that was laying the groundwork for like what RPGs were and still are to some degree. So, it should be an interesting one, I think, to go over.
Hell yeah.
But until that time, you can get a hold of us. All of our contact information is on our website at describingtheskybox.com or on splattershot.pro. There you can find links to our email address, our Discord server, our Blue Sky account, and our YouTube, where you can find all of our old episodes, including ones that we did. This one's a different one, huh? On Life is Strange. Most of them. I mentioned it because of player choice.
Yeah, I don't know, like Kentucky Route Zero.
Yeah, I think honestly the thing that is the closest to this is probably Sorcery.
Oh yeah, Steve Jackson's Sorcery.
Yeah,
maybe
which is another game with a lot of text in it.
Yeah,
and that's all of them.
Yep. It's a unique game.
It truly is, which makes it a great suggestion for Fanbruary. So thanks again to everybody who submitted games for the month. And remember to get your suggestions in for next year.
Or just put them in there for fun.
Yeah,
the
we might
tab is always open.
Mm-hmm. Fucking you walk into the inn, and behind the counter there's a square looking entity. It's red. It's the subscribe button. Do you press it?
Yes.
You're approached rapidly by a thumbs up shaped animal. The like button smashes you and tears you limb from limb. Do you want to try this encounter again?
I mean, we were talking about the different names for proper nouns and our
Making
horses.
Decisions, the horse.
Whispering to our horses and seeing what they think.
we got really into miniature equine aficionado.